Looking back at the Lightfoot years, Chicago Tribune reporter Gregory Royal Pratt has written a book about Lori Lightfoot's turbulent tenure as mayor of Chicago.
From the pandemic to protests and from rising crime to striking teachers, Pratt details all those ups and downs. He sat down with our Mike Lowe to talk about the book.
Despite her small stature, Lori Lightfoot loomed large in a city known for its big shoulders.
All right, can you hear me, everyone? People are hungry for change. And take back our city from the broken, corrupt political machine.
She fits the great characters of Chicago politics of the years. You know, big, brash, bold, sometimes offensive, sometimes endearing. I mean, she's a brilliant woman and a dynamic personality.
Chicago Tribune reporter Gregory Royal Pratt says Lightfoot is a fascinating figure.
A pandemic
who led Chicago through a transformative time.
It's a way to document the history of the city we love.
I'm not like any other mayor that sat in this seat before.
And the mayor that the city loves and sometimes loved to hate.
He is the author of a new book entitled "The City is Up for Grabs." The phrase comes from Lightfoot's own words in a text message to Alderwoman Rosanna Rodriguez Sanchez during the 2020 riots. But in a broader sense, it also describes the political void from which she emerged.
This has been the job of a lifetime, but it is not a job for a lifetime.
When Mayor Rahm Emanuel stepped down in 2018 and said, I am not going to run again.
This seismic political event reshapes the race for Chicago mayor.
That created a power vacuum in the city of Chicago that threw the political establishment up for grabs.
I got into this race to talk about ethics reform, and I talked about
Lightfoot was initially viewed as a long-shot candidate in the crowded field to succeed Rahm Emanuel. But her candidacy would be boosted by extraordinary luck.
It was an afternoon raid here, and it went all day at Alderman Burke's office.
Powerful Alderman Ed Burke's indictment on corruption charges
I've done nothing wrong.
Galvanized voters against the machine.
So did we land the tuna?
I'm calling on him to resign.
A nimble Lightfoot rebranded as the reform candidate.
This is an incredibly important election. It's really going to determine the future of our city.
She ended up in a runoff against Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle.
President Tony Preckwinkle, make some noise, Chicago!
And I look forward to serving them and serving all of you as mayor of the city of Chicago.
It was a really bizarre election in that way, where Lori Lightfoot did everything right and Tony Preckwinkle did everything wrong.
The next mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot.
Lightfoot won in a landslide, sweeping all 50 wards. She made history as the first openly gay person and the first black woman to hold the office.
I, Lori Elaine Lightfoot, do solemnly swear.
But in Pratt's analysis, she made an immediate error, alienating city council during her inauguration speech.
For years, they've said Chicago ain't ready for reform. Well, get ready, because reform is here.
He says it's indicative of a theme throughout her time in office.
That will be dealt with.
The impulse to act as a prosecutor instead of a politician.
You can't slap everybody all the time as though they're a criminal, because that's just not the way that you get stuff done. And she could not adapt her personality and her leadership style.
Lightfoot did not agree to be interviewed for the book.
He asked her straight up if she would run for mayor, and she denied it.
But Pratt spoke with dozens of City Hall insiders, along with Lightfoot's former classmates, co-workers, and rivals.
So I have 4 years of the mayor's text messages with powerful people. I have 4 years of her emails with her staff and with all sorts of powerful people.
How do you want, 15, 20 years from now, how do you want Chicagoans to look back on the Lightfoot term?
In an interview with WGN last August, Lightfoot discussed some of her key accomplishments, bringing a casino to Chicago and her signature economic development initiative, Invest Southwest.
People, her staff coming over in our neighborhood to really want to hear us. I've been here 37 years. I have never met a mayor.
Which brought projects to historically ignored parts of the city.
I think we planted great seeds for transformation.
All non-essential businesses must stop operating.
In March of 2020, Lightfoot's agenda was upended
We had to let all of our employees go.
We both lost our jobs.
as the world experienced the beginning of the COVID pandemic.
I think that Mayor Lightfoot should be proud of her work under COVID, and I think that as a city, the city should be proud of her. But that doesn't mean that it's that simple or it's that clear.
Though we remember the tough leader whose strict stance became a national symbol of responsibility,
to force compliance if necessary.
Pratt says Lightfoot was reluctant to take drastic action.
Wear your mask.
And had to be pulled in that direction by Governor Pritzker.
She was a little bit behind him every step of the way, and he complained about that to his associates.
You got to stay home.
Sometimes you luck into a reputation that maybe you didn't earn, but you get anyway. And you know, if I was her, I would ride with it too.
Mama! Get up and get in the car right!
On May 25th of that same year, George Floyd was killed by a police officer in Minneapolis, sparking violent riots and massive protests across the country.
We support and uplift what's right, and we must strongly condemn what's wrong.
In Chicago, looters ransacked stores on Michigan Avenue and in various neighborhoods.
Every other building is boarded up.
The challenge was, it was everywhere.
It was a collective failure of the city and its leadership to fully anticipate.
This is an historic day for our city.
Pratt says perhaps the most consequential decision of Lightfoot's term was, in real time and in retrospect, her biggest misstep.
How you doing, Vaughn? Good to meet you.
The hiring of David Brown as police superintendent. Pratt reports that many in Lightfoot's own circle viewed him as overmatched and outdated, disengaged, and directionless.
Being the superintendent of the second largest police force in the country is not an easy job. And on any given day, under the best of circumstances, I think there's probably less than half a dozen people qualified to do it nationwide.
Which is grossly exaggerated. It is not a job that you and I could do tomorrow, but it's a job that there are a lot of people that could do it.
More than 24 people shot from Friday night to Monday morning, including in the heart of the city.
Chicago, like cities around the country, experienced a rise in violent crime during the 4 years Lightfoot served.
How do you feel safe? You can't even feel safe sitting inside your car anymore.
Lightfoot tangled with the police union.
She has a Napoleon complex.
John Cantasara has systematically lied to his members.
And the Chicago Teachers Union, which went on strike for 11 days in 2019.
Get on the right foot!
And engaged in a labor action, refusing to return to in-person learning.
But here we are, still not back in school, day 11.
Forcing school cancellations in 2022.
Well, Mayor Lightfoot does not share their politics.
In the end, Pratt says the Lightfoot years seemed hopeful and hectic, overwhelming and exhausting.
You're managing day by day to kind of get through those challenges.
A very strong letter to Mayor Lightfoot offering help because she's clearly unable to control her streets.
People were just kind of tired. It was a little bit like Trump in 2020 where people were like, you know, it's something new every single day.
But Pratt's ultimate conclusion is that the city, which he describes as up for grabs, won't be held down for long.
We are a strong, resilient people. We like our mayors, we like our politics, but that doesn't mean that any 4 years can break a city as incredible as this one.
Very, very proud of the work that we did over the course of the 4 years.
Mike Lowe, WGN News.